everybody. Welcome to The Reality Shift. And today we're interviewing the phenomenal, the wondrous, and the awesome human being, Savannah Schutzler.
Wow, I sound quite cool.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, onto this show and agreeing to do this interview.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I just want to get straight into it. Could you just tell us a bit about yourself? And, growing up and just see your background.
Perfect. Yeah. So I grew up in Swaziland. I was born in Durban, but moved when I was 5. My dad is a director for international banking within Standard Bank. So he moves around across Africa, and we went with him. And I grew up in Swaziland for 10 years of my life, and it was the most amazing 10 years. And you know what? I think I had the best kind of childhood any child could ever have, living in such a peaceful nation, such a beautiful nation. And I just lived outside the whole time. It was amazing. Then I went into boarding school, and I was a very shy little girl and very bullied as well. I basically had to overcome that fear of people and being shy to make it in hostel, to make friends. So the first year was very, very scary for me. I think I cried every single day. But then the second year came, and I had to move to Bloemfontein. My parents moved to Lesotho, and I knew no one. And I was a complete English girl, and I had to be immersed into the Afrikaans culture. And I couldn't speak a word, although we had been learning since we were in grade 2. When it comes to social environments, it's so different. And I had to adapt very quickly, and I pushed myself to go out there. And for me, being a shy little girl, it was really tough going to each and every room in the hostel to go and introduce myself. And I actually found my group of friends that I still am friends with to this day on that very day. So you know what? When you take that little step of courage and bravery in doing new things that are outside your comfort zone, you end up maybe discovering the best things in life. And then I was on my way to wanting to be a vet, studying to become a vet, and I shadowed one and saw, I can't do that to animals. I can't put them down. I'd want to save them all. And birds are an issue, so I wouldn't be able to help birds. I have a huge phobia of birds.
Really?
Yeah, huge. But I want to fly one day, so it's like, that's my superhero thing I want to do, but I'm going to be flying next to birds. Doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, I know. Anyways, then I read a book. And in this book, it was just a beautiful story it's fiction, about the relationship between God and us and how it's a beautiful relationship. And, we live in this legalism of Christianity where you have to rules. And, there's hypocrisy, and people are quite hypocritical. Do this, but I'm not doing what I'm saying you must do, And I just needed to know what that relationship was with God and me. And I read this book. It was amazing. It was called Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. I was like, I'm going to make this movie. I've got to make this movie one day. I want the world to know what this is about, this beautiful love relationship, that it's about love. He loves us. And in our imperfections, we are not great people. No one's not a sinner. It's crazy how we think we've got to be so perfect when we come to God, but we don't have to clean ourselves up at all. And I was like, okay, now I've got to start acting. I want to be in this film too, and I want to create it. So I decided, okay, right, I'm going to do art as well as drama, because I loved art. And started doing drama as a full subject, changed all my subjects in one go, from science to drama, from biology to, history. Parents weren't so excited about that. But it really, they're more business orientated, and my mom's like a biologist, so it's not really. I'm the first actress and so forth in the family, and I do get my dramatic streak from both my parents, I must be honest. They are very dramatic. But on that journey I started, trying to audition for Stellenbosh University and UCT, and only 50 of us were able to get into either or of the universities, and I actually made it into Stellenbosh. And that was really cool, because I was like, wow, I can act. Okay, I can do this, because I never thought I could. I didn't think I had the talent to do it, because it was so new and so foreign. But I started using acting to sort of almost escape my own reality, which a lot of actors do. And as I was on that journey, I was like, no, I need to actually enjoy my reality. My reality is what I've got to live with. So I stopped trying to escape my reality, and it became more of, let me put my story out there for everyone else. Someone, even if it's one person, can benefit from this story of getting back up. I think that is something that has been ingrained in me since a little girl. And yeah, I mean, I studied and I wasn't the best. And I came out of studying and I was just like, oh, I need more. I need to know more about this because I'm not feeling as if it's real for me. I feel very mechanical as an actor. I feel like my face will move and that'll give the emotion away. And then I did my honors, and I still didn't feel like I was there yet. So I went in search of more actors outside of my studies, such as Robin Scott. She's a dialect coach, and Bonnie Rodini, and she gives techniques and so forth. And it's outside people. It's people who are working in the industry. And I was just so enthralled by it. It was amazing. And yeah, I just started going on this journey of my story is actually important. I can be an example to people and be the best version of myself and try. If I fall, they can watch it, and someone will be comforted by that fact that I'm not perfect, but that I'm trying. At least I'm trying, because I think we live in a world where if you're not trying, you're not going to fail, so it's fine. But failing is actually quite good. It means you're gonna get there one day.
Exactly. Listen, yeah. And in terms of your craft and being in the creative space, would you say when you're looking for projects and going forth and coming into this space, would you say that you want to be somewhat of a person who really connects with the audience and not just doing and making the craft? What is your if you get what I mean, in terms of connecting, as you said, with beings and really wanting persons to get inspired by the craft that you actually do in that regard?
Well, I truly believe that a lot of my life choices have to resonate with me. Everything I do needs to resonate with me, and that also goes within my workspaces. So I choose jobs, and it's probably not so good when I'm a struggling actress to be quite picky with the jobs, because then I don't have much more, to do. But it's something, if I see a character and I believe in it, and I can see, okay, this is going to help someone else, or the story helps someone else, even if I'm the bad character or, the protagonist, whatever, as long as the story will help somebody else. I'm such an advocate for mental health. It's huge, especially now, and I will refuse to do roles that sort of degrade women and put us into a different box, and also mental health. If we just make it, it's quite cool to be depressed. No, it's not. For people who are actually depressed, it's not. And for people who are actually, they suffer with anxiety, it's not. So I know it's probably not the best choice in trying to get lots of jobs, but for me it's not about the fame or the money. It's about making it a change in the world, and by making a change you have to stand up for the things that you believe in. You have to say no to things that you are not going to stand for. I'm not going to be the face of something that I don't believe in, and I think that if I carry on being that way, something will give. There will be something that aligns perfectly, and people are going to either be inspired or influenced in a positive way towards that, and that you can stand up for yourself and never abandon yourself. And that goes hand in hand with my job as well. So I do definitely want to inspire people with the characters that I do play, with the stories that I come up with the things I put out there in the world. I've sort of in my own head taken on the role of, I want to be a role model one day. And that actually starts right now. That doesn't start when you're standing up on the stage and you've got all this fame and all this stuff. No, it actually counts so much more when you're sitting at home, you have no one clapping for you, and you've got to do it yourself. That's when it starts. So be your own role model and be the role model to other girls, women, men, children, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I believe in.
Touch on mental health. is as of 2020. I remember seeing an article, and they were saying at the time I think it was 2018. They said by 2020, mental health and depression will become the biggest disease in the world, literally. So touching on that, because this is also a reason why I started the show as well, was a result of having been through that turmoil and being in that, heavy mental state. Would you like to expand upon, just trying to destigmatize and shining light on mental health and your journey with relating to, and yeah.
Yeah, so, well, when I did Miss Essay, I really, really stood up for the fact that there's such a stigma around mental health that if you have depression or anxiety, you are seen as other. You are not normal. And that doesn't allow us to feel free to heal. And then you don't actually heal yourself. You just put a Band-Aid on it and you move on. And then that resurfaces again. And then you're constantly in the cycle of, I'm okay, I'm fine, but I'm actually not okay, I'm not fine. But the facade I'm giving to the world is saying that I'm fine. And I lived in that world for so many years. I had, my power taken away from me. I lost so much. And I was in such dark, deep places where I thought there was no hope for me. No future, nothing. I wasn't worth anything. And then one day I just decided, I think I was at my rock bottom. I was at my rock bottom and I was like, there's no more. I can't go any deeper, I've got to start looking up. And for me, in my own life, it was God was standing right there for me with the door, waiting for me to open the door. And I had to just open the door and allow him to work in my life and take me to the place where he needs me to be, to take me to the higher rock, where just by allowing him back into my life, because when you go through these dark places, you feel very ashamed of yourself and you feel very not worthy. I'm just abandoning myself constantly and letting everybody else just walk straight over me and not taking the authority that I deserve over my own life. And I just decided I'm not going to live a life of defeat anymore. Life is tough. It's always going to be, an up and down journey. But if I can at least find some ways that work with me to, navigate my way through those hard times, that's going to be the best thing for me. So what are my triggers? What are the things that hurt me? And to verbally say, okay, this hurts me to the people that I love, and this is my method of coping. And it helps to let people know that kind of stuff, because otherwise they are not going to catch on to when you're actually feeling really, really low. And then they may say something that actually triggers you even further. And then a huge explosion of emotions and miscommunication. And I had to take that responsibility to say, well, if I'm not going to let someone know about what's going on in my life, I can't expect them to understand it. And if I do let somebody know, I've got to also trust them that information is going to stay with them, or it's not going to. And if it's out there and people know, okay, I suffer with anxiety or I had depression, then that's okay. But I've literally decided my life is going to be an example to others. So whatever I go through, you're going to know about it, and it's going to be something that helps you, or it just shows you that we're all real. We go through these things. But as a little girl, I started horse riding because I was severely bullied as a child, and I had some speech impediments as well. So I was going to therapy the whole time. And within, a primary school, that really creates a divide between kids. And I had glasses, and that just made it even worse. Some kids are they just speak their minds, and it hurts other little kids. So I started horse riding as a therapy. And it just sparked a whole love with riding horses and just having that connection with such a gentle animal, and that body language that you have, and the language you have that's just unspoken was amazing for me, and I felt worthy. And basically, I kept falling off a lot of the times. I wasn't great. And I kept falling off, but I had instructors telling me, get back on. If you don't get back on now, you're never going to get back on again, because you're going to be so nervous of the horse or of the obstacle in front of you. And then I started applying that to my actual life and saying, well, if I don't get back up now, I'm not going to get back up. it's easier to just lie back down and do nothing and wallow in the self-pity. Trust me, there have been days where it's just that, or weeks, sometimes months. For me, it was 4 years of wallowing and trying to get back up, but not necessarily taking the steps to get there. Trying to think, I can do this on my own. I've got this. But sometimes you need a community to help you as well. You need people from outside to help you. And I just was surrounded by this stigma of I'm not good enough because I have depression or I suffer with anxiety. So I am put into a different box. I'm not worthy. I have to take any kind of scraps of attention from people or their better treatment towards me, and that's what I am deserving of. Meanwhile, when I changed my mindset, it's all about the mind. I was like, I actually deserve so much more than that. And to walk away from people like that, where you're not trying to be liked by everyone, and you walk away from that to only grow yourself, is scary and it's lonely. But you start to realize that there's power in that. There's power there. And you unleash something in yourself that's like, I'm conditioning myself for my future self, for my future family, for my future career, whatever it is, for the future, for people that may look at me one day. I don't know what the future holds for me. Maybe something changes in the next few years. But I just knew there was a bigger purpose for me. When you live with a bigger purpose, or you live for something that's bigger than you kind of start to go on different levels. And it's been an intense journey. It's been, dark and very lonely sometimes. But in the last year, I really went on this journey of self-discovery and really diving into those wounds and, fixing it and trying to address it and see, why do I feel like that? Why? And then I see, okay, that happened, so this is why. So let's try and work out, the solution to this, and never try and keep the blame with people. Always forgive. It doesn't mean you have to feel like you want to forgive somebody, but it just allows you to not become bitter. I don't want any bitterness in my life. Those people who hurt me, I can maybe help one day. And that for me was a huge revelation, because I was like, how could I feel like that now, that I could actually help the people who hurt me? I could actually help them. So that was a huge thing for me. Mental health has been a huge part of my life, and I think it's something that for the rest of my life I'm going to stand for and work for, and create brave spaces for people to be vulnerable and have vulnerable conversations where we talk about the reality of mental health, because a lot of people don't understand it, or they don't want to. Everyone has something that they deal with, and some people just ignore it, and then that creates more drama in your life. So
exactly that. And I wanted to also add on, well, not really add on, but ask you about the effects of, personally and within the industry, of the implications of COVID-19 and the lockdown, and how that has changed, your complete, psychosocial, way of doing things, and, just in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I struggled with COVID-19 a lot, because I was stuck at home, and I hadn't lived at home since I was 14 years old. So I was at home for a much longer period of time than I've ever been in a long time, and to adjust that was different. I live on my own. I've been quite independent since then. So there was a lot of mental sort of adjustments I needed to make to living at home again with my whole family for 4 months straight. Also the fact that I was trying to be repatriated. I went to Swaziland for 21 days for the lockdown to be with my family, to look after my mom. She has had thyroid cancer, so she was a high-risk patient as well. So just to look after her and make sure that she was safe. And I ended up being stuck in Swaziland for 4 months. And competing in Miss SA as well happened in Swaziland. And it was, it's an amazing journey that the Lord took me on. But I stressed a lot in the initial stages, because I wasn't able to, with Wi-Fi issues, I wasn't able to do all the stuff that, properly. It felt like it was so bad, but it wasn't. It all turned out for the better. But I had a very big conversation with my mother where it was like, I just feel like there's doors being locked right in front of me. I'm trying to open it and I can't open, and I'm trying every door that I possibly can to help myself. And then when I let go, and I was like, okay, I just gotta let go. Doors started opening. I started trusting more in the Lord. I spent more time in the Lord. And I'm actually very grateful for that time, because through the struggle, I ended up going to different places. In the last month of lockdown, especially with Miss Essay, I was like, I'm seeing different things. This is amazing. The groundwork that I've done in these past 3 months of being here, through the hardship and through the tears and working through all this that I didn't think I had going on inside me. I didn't know that I wasn't, completely healed. Things start to come to the surface again. And then you work through it. And the work that I did, that I decided, if this is this time, in COVID-19, I have nothing else. I've got no career. The acting, I was already a struggling actor. I don't have a permanent job. That's out. I ended up getting a film where I voiced over, and we won an award for it, which was so cool. And then I was spending more time in the Lord. I entered Miss Essay, and I thought, I'm not going to make it because there's a border between us, That's not going to happen. I made it to top 35. Then I thought, wow, look at the other girls. They're so brilliant. How would I'm in Swaziland. That was my biggest thing. I'm in Swaziland. Next thing, top 15. I was like, wow, Lord, this is insane. So I started seeing some breakthroughs there where I started seeing, okay, if I spend more time in the Lord, other things start to happen. Real life things start to change. And the rate at which I was growing was crazy. I outgrew people. I outgrew friendships, and I started realizing I'm not that person anymore that I was like a month ago. It was really quick. And, there's some tough decisions you've got to make often, because it's like it's not aligning with me anymore. And COVID-19, it's been very difficult. I had to start trying to learn a new skill, which was teaching English to students all over the world online. And it took a long time for it to actually kick off. And during lockdown, whilst trying to do Miss Essay, whilst trying to be repatriated, which was just so stressful, it took 3 months for an email to be replied to. I then had this going on where I was trying to get jobs, trying to make money to become financially stable, because last year and the years before I was studying. Now it's like, this is my time to actually contribute, and I want to start becoming financially independent. This was the year to do so, and I was hoping that would be with acting. However, it actually turned out to be this English teaching online that would bring in some money to ease over the bills, and thank goodness my parents were not devastated financially by this, this crisis, because my dad was an essential worker, so it was easier on us. But I wanted to contribute as well, and only now it's kicked off. Things have taken their time. It's not been easy. I haven't gotten what I wanted, but I've gotten more than I ever thought I would. So it's crazy when you think like, this is what I want and this is what I think I want to do. You end up waiting and you stay still in that moment, and you keep your place right there, and you end up getting way more than you ever thought you would. And I've started to realize, okay, this is where the Lord works. He works when it's impossible. When it's possible, we don't need him. So, we can still take credit for that. When it's impossible, that's when he's there and he pitches up. And it's like, wow, my life in the past 5 months now has been so impossible. I am so far out in faith, and it was hard for me to be faithful because I like to see things, and you can't see these things, and I didn't trust too well. And I started seeing, okay, wow, if I really do just go out and act on it, act on faith, and get out of the boat, try walk on the water to Jesus Christ, and get to wherever he is, things are gonna start happening and in his will. And I just started seeing things that were just changing so much, doors opening in different places that I never thought they would, and being open to that change. That was a big thing. Be open to that change or a new direction, that maybe it's not exactly where you thought you'd be, but now it's actually on a better path. That was a big part for me. So I feel like COVID-19 and lockdown, in the end of it, has been the best thing possible for me. because it's just showed me so much more of myself and my capabilities within Christ and, my faith. And I'm so far out in it, I can't even look around me now, because it's like I'll actually get so nauseous from being so high up, or, feeling like, oh, wow, I'm not where I thought I'd be, but okay, Lord, I'm trusting. So yeah, there's some days where it's very scary, but I'm out there.
Yeah. So I just wanted to end off by asking you, what do you have to say for young, aspiring, creative actors out there who really want to get into this space? What words of encouragement would you give them? And just to conduct themselves along this journey.
I would say really, really, really keep learning, keep growing, keep expanding your horizons. Don't just narrow it out to one part of the industry. You can be using so many different parts, and try and see what the realities are of this industry at this moment right now. It's almost as if things are going online, and at this moment we're trying to, as the industry, as an acting industry, directing industry, we're trying to show the international clients, especially here in Cape Town, that we are ready for work to come through, because we had a lot of work coming through from that. And people obviously are nervous because of COVID-19. They think South Africa won't be able to do it, but we can. We've got the facilities, we've got all the things that are needed. But if you are someone who's thinking of acting, who's thinking of becoming a director, study it. I also thought, wow, why should I study it? But study it. It's important. Build those foundations. Really go all in for it. If you have a plan B, it's not going to work. And I always thought, okay, I can always do this. I'll do a business course. And I started one last year because I was nervous. I was like, I can't just go out on a limb like this. Financially, it's scary. But when it's scary, things start to happen, and your time will come. It takes time. An overnight success is 5 years. So if you're starting at 19 like I did, you'll get to about 24 years old and you'll see, okay, maybe 25 might work out for me, or 26. That's when the years start kicking in, It takes time. And never give up. That's the thing. Never give up. Yes, I have a side hustle. I've got my English, which brings in the bills when I'm not acting, or right now when it's not really, there's not much coming in. But be realistic. Be realistic of what you want. If you're in it for the fame and the money, it takes a long time to get there. It really takes a long time to get there. A lot of these child actors turn into great actors because they were acting when they were younger, when mom and dad was still looking after them. But if it's something that you really believe in, go all in for it. But be realistic about it. Don't just have this big dream that it's going to happen instantly. It's going to take time. And make sure that you are able to deal with that time period. Because if you're not able to wait, then there might be a little bit of a imbalance between you and your dream.
That was phenomenal. Thank you so much, Savannah. I really do appreciate you sharing this time with me. And I feel like every single time I do interviews with persons, I get so much wealth of information that I just get from them that I probably never would have come across. And thank you so much for coming on this show. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. And even if when we spoke just now, it was so nice hearing your story as well, and what you've been through and why you started this show. And I think it's so, so great and so needed in this time. And it's really, as you said, making an opportunity of this crisis. And I really, well done. I think that you're doing an amazing thing. And I can't wait to watch the rest of what you put on your Instagram and everything. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And absolutely awesome.